guys, welcome to the Strengthen Your Story. I'm your host, Maria Porcasi. Thank you so much for joining me today for our very first episode of the podcast. I'm so excited to see where this goes. So excited for all the interviews, all the guests, and everybody that we're going to have on. But I figured for the first episode, I would talk about myself and I would tell you guys about my story, why I created the podcast, why I created Living Proof, and just about how I was brought up and all of that fun stuff. So I'm from Long Island. I've lived in New York all of my life. I've grown up with a very supportive and loving family. Anything and everything that I wanted to do when I was younger till now, they've been supportive. They've had my back constantly. And when I was younger, I always wanted to try all these different things. I used to play the piano, played the saxophone, I did softball, I did dance, I did gymnastics, and my parents, my brother and sister, they came and to everything. And I always had all this stuff that I would do and all this stuff that I was good at, but I was never really amazing at anything. And for me, art was one thing that I grew up doing. I would color, I would paint when I was little, and as I grew up, I started to love taking pictures. And I would take pictures of people to capture the emotion, the love, whatever the photos are of, the people behind them, the perspective, all of it. You get so many different people's opinions on what they see in that person. And I just think that's so beautiful. So I took my love for art and I took my love for helping people. I absolutely enjoy listening to people's stories, listening to people to give them advice, all of that stuff. So I took my love for helping people and my love for art and I put it together and I created Living Proof. So I wanted to create something that would really help people everywhere. So with creating the brand, I wanted people to be able to put their stories, their successes, their struggles, whatever it was, on their sleeve. And I was able to sell to people everywhere. I had one video go viral on TikTok and I sold all over the world. And I had people messaging me saying, "Oh my God, I love your product. I love that I'm able to customize it. I love that I'm able to tell my story." Anything and everything that they said, I was blown away by. But what really hit me the hardest was when people explained why they picked the quote that they put. So I had people reaching out saying "Oh, I just went through the hardest time of my life. I just went through the biggest success that I've had, the best day of my life." Whatever it was, these sweatshirts were memorable for the biggest, happiest, and saddest, most struggling days in people's lives. And to just be able to have something that shows that even at your highest highs or lowest lows, you're that same person, you're going through that same story, I just think it's incredible. You're growing so much from each and every moment in your life, and to be able to show that in a quote, in a sweatshirt, on something that you can wear literally every day, because I wear it all the time, but you can wear it at any moment and be able to show it off, or even just be able to have it just for you. I just think it's amazing. But creating Living Proof was more so for each individual. So people would come and they would customize the sweatshirt and it's faced toward you so that you're the one looking at it, and it's there to help you get through the day, and it's there to really help and push and motivate you and inspire you. It helps and inspires other people when you show off your story, but it's different. I created the podcast now to really have people come on and tell their story and live their strength, because it's very hard for people to be "Oh, I do this." You could talk to everybody around you, but nobody really knows your story. Nobody knows anything that you've been through just looking at you. So I think it's very important for people to be out there and tell their story. And telling your story helps people everywhere. It's absolutely crazy the amount of people that you can tell your story to, and people will listen. I think it's really important for people to be able to tell their stories, because telling your story of something that you've been through, a heartbreak, a loss of a child, a loss of a grandparent, a loss of a parent, having someone else out there who also relates to you, and someone else out there who can also understand where you're coming from, you're able to help them. Like, telling my story, or people coming on and being interviewed and telling their story, there's got to be other people out there who have been going through something similar, if not the same thing. Being able to hear that person's story and really understand where they're coming from, and understand, oh, these are the steps they took to get out of it, maybe I can do the same thing. It's not something that like you get from an everyday podcast. It's not something that you get from everyday life. You can look at someone walking down the street and think, oh, you have no idea the day that they had. You have no idea what they've been through. You have no idea what they're going through. But I can have them on the podcast. I can interview them, and I guarantee you 1 or 2 people in the audience will have a story similar, if not the exact same as them. It's crazy the world that we live in, but there's so many reasons why people are here. Everybody's on this earth for a reason, and everybody has a story that's unique to them, but can also be something that other people relate to. So for this episode, I wanted to take you guys to my happy place, and one of my absolute favorite things to do is to go see the sunset, whether it's with friends, having a picnic, or like even just by myself, or just walking when the sun is setting. I absolutely love it. I don't know, it like really makes me so happy. So I decided to do the first podcast here as I was watching the sunset. But it was absolutely beautiful, and it really makes you think about like the world that we live in and how stunning and beautifully put and made everything is. Just looking around, like you see beauty, you can see beauty in everything. You can see beauty in the water, you can see beauty in the sky, you can see beauty in the grass, you can see beauty in the friggin' trees during the fall, or even during the spring, like the flowers. There are colors everywhere you look, and I just think that it's so beautiful, the world that we live in, and there's just so much to it, and I think it's so nice. But yes, the sunset and the beach and all that is my happy place. I absolutely adore being here and just like watching it. But the sunset also teaches you some stuff. As the sun is setting, it's turning into a new day, which teaches you that like even when you're having the absolute worst of days, there's always tomorrow. There is always going to be another day. The sun is always going to set at the end of the day, whether it was the best day of your life or the worst day of your life, or the worst day of your life. No matter what it is that you're going through, the one constant, the sun sets. The sun rises, but the sun sets. And the sunset is just always beautiful. But it shows you that even in the worst of days, there is something to look forward to. There is the sun setting in the beauty and all that it is, but there's also the sun rising the next day and the beauty of a new day, the beauty of a fresh start. So whatever it is that's going through your mind, whatever tough struggles you went through today, leave it in the past. It happened. Shit happens, girl. At the end of the day, like, you need to move on from it. Whether it's a heartbreak, whether you just failed a test, whatever it is, it's in the past. Move on from it. There's a lot more to life than that's, and maybe it is a big thing. Maybe it's someone passed away. Maybe it's a miscarriage, God forbid. Maybe you got a test results back. Whatever it was, even if it's the hardest thing that you've dealt with that month, there's tomorrow, and there's a fresh start. And it might not be the most beautiful day. It might not be, the sun might not be out. It might be downpouring. But it is a new start. It is a new day. It's a new 24 hours that you get to turn your life around, that you get to do something different than the routine that you go through every day. So yeah, that's why I love sunsets. Oh, that was a very long explanation, but I just think that it's a beautiful end to what could be the most beautiful day or the most crappy day. But either way, it is a beautiful end to it. But yes, so this podcast is going to be filled with guest appearances from different people. It's going to be filled with questions. At the end of this episode, I'm going to leave you guys with a question where I would like you to answer. Obviously, you don't need to, but if you would like to answer, or if you have any questions for me about it, you can DM me, you can message me, you can text me. But I would love to hear from you. And from then on, I would also like to do like question answers, or like have a certain podcast about like this certain struggle. I would like to have a lot of interviews and a lot of guests on the show, but if that's not possible, I would like to have topics for certain things. So if it's losing somebody, if it's a heartbreak, if whatever it is, if it's the most successful thing that you've gone through, or even if you guys want an episode on creating a business, I will gladly make small episodes about all of those things and really go through the process of like all the different stuff that adds up and all the different things that can lead to that amazing thing, or all the different advices that I can give based off of my story and based off of my experiences with those certain situations. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. There's a lot of other experiences, struggles, and successes that I've been through, but I figured as we touch upon the topics in the different episodes, I will also give my experience, my advice, the different things that I went through, and we will really touch on all of it then, rather than bombard you all with it now. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you all know that you are living proof that there is strength in your story. I'll see you next time.